Rise of the Guardians is technically not a Christmas movie, but it has Santa Claus in it, so I'm talking about it now. Rise of the Guardians is a Dreamworks movie from 2012 that unfortunately bombed at the box office, which really sucks because it's a great movie, and there was a lot of talent behind it. Like, it has the same director as Into the Spider-Verse. Dreamworks had a lot riding on this film because they were hoping to use the profits to fund other projects, so the movie's failure saw a lot of them shelved and a lot of people lost their jobs. It's really unfortunate because I'm pretty sure this didn't have to happen. It was probably a miscalculation on DreamWorks' part on when to release the film. You see, it released in November of 2012, which seems like it would be a good time to release a family-friendly holiday movie, even though again it's not actually a Christmas movie, it takes place during Easter, but Santa is the biggest name here, let's be honest. But that month was pretty stacked with competition. First of all, Disney had already released Wreck-It Ralph in that month, another animated family movie from their biggest competitor in the medium, and two major franchises released films in that month, right around the same time. It ended up going up against James Bond's Skyfall and the final installment of the Twilight Saga, so that was three huge competitors. Rise of the Guardians just didn't stand a chance. Another major problem I think the movie faced was actually its title. Rise of the Guardians just isn't very descriptive as a title. It doesn't give any clues about what people can expect from a movie like this. For example, Wreck-It Ralph is about Wreck-It Ralph, and if you go to see a James Bond movie, you know that it's going to focus on James Bond. Same with Twilight. Not to mention those are huge franchises with recognizable names. How is a movie with such a generic title supposed to compete? Like, for example, it being called Rise of the Guardians doesn't actually explain what they're guarding. Like Guardians of the Galaxy explains that they are guarding the galaxy, so you can expect a sci-fi adventure. But in Rise's case, it's not obvious that they're talking about the Guardians of Childhood, and even still, saying that they're the Guardians of Childhood wouldn't automatically invoke characters like Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. So I think those two issues in particular led to its downfall, which is such a shame. The movie really deserved better. It's a good movie, but in the end it is what it is. So now The Boss Baby has a second sequel in the works, and a TV show, while Rise of the Guardians never even gets mentioned by DreamWorks anymore, and it's been over 10 years now. Shame. But with that backstory out of the way, let's take a look at Rise of the Guardians. The movie follows Jack Frost as he teams up with the Guardians, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman, in order to save the world from the boogeyman who's trying to take it over, as well as uncover the secrets of his past, because he's suffering from amnesia. A cliche, but it works. All while the Guardians are trying to recruit him to their ranks, but he's not very interested because he views them as sticks in the mud, and too stuffy for his carefree attitude. I really love the character designs in this film. They're very unique and interesting. One of my favorites is probably the Tooth Fairy, who looks like a giant hummingbird. It's definitely not something you would expect, and she has an army of little fairies called Baby Teeth, who look like tiny hummingbirds, and they're so cute. And I really appreciate the creative and unique direction they decided to go with these characters. Take the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. They're usually portrayed as very sweet and jolly, but here the Easter Bunny is 6 feet tall and a professional martial artist, and Santa Claus has tattoos, and is a proficient sword fighter. The visuals that they use with the Sandman is really cool. He can create practically anything out of sand. I think they let the artist just have fun with it. He also doesn't speak, so he expresses himself with his sand, and it makes him very unique as a character. I do think that the Boogeyman, aka Pitch Black's design is a bit understated, but I guess it's mostly compared to the others. He's basically a shadowy figure. He also doesn't have eyebrows, which is a choice that they certainly made. I think he's fine overall, but compared to the others, I do wish they'd gotten a little more creative with it, especially for the bad guy. And of course, there's Jack Frost. This character had a stronghold on Tumblr back in the day. He was one of the big four, part of a multi-movie fandom known as Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons, and was constantly being shipped with Elsa from Frozen, due to them having a similar aesthetic and both being sad, lonely people with ice powers. As for Jack in the movie, he's very likable, and I think he's a strong protagonist. The main conflict with him is that he spent hundreds of years trying to find himself. No one believes in him, so no one can see him, forcing him to be isolated and alone. And since he doesn't have any memories, he has no idea why he's like this, which makes him very sympathetic. The film has a lot of heart, and a lot of great moments, along with being really funny, but also isn't afraid to slow things down and just let a scene breathe. All the characters bounce off of each other really well, and they have great chemistry, whether it's Jack's rivalry with the Easter Bunny, or Santa being like a mentor to him. But I think the most interesting is definitely Pitch, because he's like a dark reflection of Jack, what he could become if he lets his loneliness consume him. Pitch even offers to partner with him, and they could take over the world together, although he frames it like everyone will believe in them, so it makes for a compelling dynamic. The movie has a star-studded cast: Hugh Jackman as the Easter Bunny, Isla Fisher as the Tooth Fairy, Jude Law as Pitch Black, Alec Baldwin, which admittedly did not age well, and Chris Pine as Jack Frost. Admittedly, I really like his performance, but I think his voice is too mature for this character. He looks like a young teenager, but he sounds like a grown man, and that causes a disconnect for me.
Okay, who threw that?
Well, it wasn't Bigfoot, kiddo.
Hey, what's the point? Because you won't be able to keep up anyway.
Is that a challenge, Cottontail?
I've been around for a long time. My name is Jack Frost.
So other than that, I thought everyone did a really good job. The movie actually gets pretty dark, which was surprising considering it's an animated family movie, but Jack has a really sad backstory when we finally find out about it. Not to spoil too much, but it's pretty tragic. But he seems to be at peace with it, so I guess it's okay. There are some things that I wish we could have gotten more clarity on, like why did Jack have amnesia, and why his powers seem to rely on this staff. But it doesn't drag the movie down at all, I'm just nitpicking. I really wish we could have gotten a sequel. I really like this world and its characters. There are a lot of classics that bombed at the box office but found an audience later, like Disney's Pinocchio or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, so maybe Dreamworks can still find some way to make money off of this movie, although it has been over a decade. It really didn't deserve to bomb the way it did, and I think it was just bad timing. Maybe someday something will come from it, but in the meantime, I'm happy this movie was made. I always come back to it every year, and I would highly recommend it. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Have you seen Rise of the Guardians? Do you think it deserves better? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching everyone, I really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to the members: Tyrant Carnivore, Shiny Orc Boy, General Bolivar, Depth Charge Media, Sambaru163, Gabby Hime, Verdant Range, JVR, Hussyman42, Nixel, Phil C, Taylor Ramirez, Caleb Nelson, Takari the Professor, Equestron, Norman Sweetcream, Way Beyond Coincidence, Garcia XV Legend, Hunter Rose, 80s Nostalgia Guy, Felix Bam, Soundboy00, Kitsune Fiora, Lucas Geist, Jay Draws, Blue Spirit, Bandito Bane, Meowsers, Sky, Jin KZ, Philip, Stutania, Isaac Martinez, and Data Dine Executive. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. If you want to become a member, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. We also have Buy Me Coffee if you want to support the channel that way. And if you enjoyed this content, I'd appreciate it if you left a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and that part's free. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.